mentioned the other evening that the Soviet team is clad in brand new uniforms, new helmets, all new equipment, including skates. And immediately, the Flames back into their own zone. Hansen handling the puck with a pass up the right side to Gilmore. Got around Smirnoff at center ice, and McClellan dumps it in for Calgary. Back for it is Chelinen. Chelinen, number 7, playing it around the boards. He and Smirnoff teamed up on defense. They go with 5-man units. And Zelepukin comes to center ice for Himik. Over the Calgary line, Zelepukin turns, and a shot goes off Merson. Ends up back of the net. Merson recovering. There's the zone. Chelinen back in center ice. Look towards Smirnoff. Puck is deflected into the Calgary zone. Bernachevsky is out tonight, playing on the left side with T-Top at center, and Zelepukin on the right wing. This is Gilmore over center ice. That's Mullen moving up with him. 3 Soviets back. The drop pass for Mullen. Mullen gets tripped up in the play, and there'll be a penalty. Yakovenko will get the gate here. Andrei Yakovenko, the defenseman, draws the first penalty, and we're only 54 seconds into the first period here.
Jigs, the key guy for Calgary is Joey Mullen. Let's go back in the training camp with Joe. Lost his father, had to have a big effect, did not go into the Soviet Union with Calgary. Then he was fighting, the lower abdominal pull, groin pull. He's had a virus, and he doesn't have that spark that he's had before. He is a catalyst. He can jumpstart this hockey club or any hockey club that happens to be with. When you see Joey making those moves and jumping those holes and the legs are going, things are going to happen, in his favor.
And as a result, Yakovenko gets the tripping penalty at the 54-second mark. Calgary with McGinnis and Suter on the points. Makarov out with Fleury, and Nieuwendyk is the forwards. This is Al McGinnis up to Theo Fleury. Fleury across the Soviet line, pulls to the left side, held the puck, then it's kicked away from him. Karpachenko is able to clear it out into the center ice zone. This is Suter. Now to McGinnis. Al McGinnis goes cross ice to Fleury. Fleury pushed off the puck, and it comes back to Suter. Harry Suter plays it to the open wing. That's Nieuwendyk. 2 players from Himik surrounding him, and they move it out into the center ice area. Ballgame gets checked. Now Makarov handles the puck. Sergei Makarov. Left side is Suter. Trying to move in, and he shot one wide. The rebound there for Nieuwendyk, and he drops it back to the point for McGinnis. McGinnis to Fleury. Back to Suter, and it comes off his stick. Calgary with only 2 wins. 2 wins in the National Hockey League in their last dozen games. 2, 6, and 4 in that stretch. They dropped a point behind the Edmonton Oilers in the overall Smythe Division standings. Calgary dumping it in on the power play. Joel Otto went after it, trying to get it back to Gilmore. Knocked away from him. And the Soviets play it out into the center ice area. Vashmikin chasing it. And Wamsley comes out of the net, giving it to Otto. Up to Gilmore. No score. Just underway. Soviet Himik team is a man short. Gilmore putting the puck in the Himik zone. Shoulder to shoulder with Chelinen as he went back to the net. Nieuwendyk plays it to the point. Here's McGinnis. Cross to McCowan. McCowan can't get it to Gilmore, and it's been shot down into the Calgary zone.
Himik defense looked like Joel Otto in front of the net. One guy just actually sized him up from the feet to the shoulders. And he said, where did a guy like that come from? I don't think he sees a guy that big in the Soviet Union.
And they have killed off the penalty without allowing Calgary a shot on goal here. So Himik leading the Soviet Elite League just now. The league leaders there with 50 points. First part of their season. Calgary, the defending Stanley Cup champions. Himik turned back at the Calgary line. Up come the Flames. Bryakin. 1 of 2 Soviets in the Calgary lineup. Roberts, Bryakin, and Nieuwendyk out there at the moment. Radomacula moves in, and his shot turned aside by Wamsley. Soviets trying to move it around the boards. Put it off the cage, and it's recovered by Brad McCrimmon, the Calgary captain. No score as he fed the puck to Roberts on left wing. Shot it wide of the Soviet goal. Both teams in the middle of some player changes. Played just over 3 minutes in the opening period. Roger Johansson with a pass to Otto. He had Bergquist moving in, couldn't get the puck to him. Soviets trying to start out of their own territory here. Long pass at center ice. Zelepukin is checked. Merson handling it now. Zelepukin playing with Titov and Bernachevsky tonight. Bernachevsky inserted in the lineup to replace Karpachenko in this line.
Well, the Soviet team would really like to win this hockey game, Jigs. At least play well. It'd be a big feather in hat to come in here beat the defending Stanley Cup champion. And this is something what Calgary is faced with every night out now, just what it means to be a Stanley Cup champion, because everybody is waiting for him, everybody's ready for him.
Even the goalkeeper, Cherviakov, with that long shot. Here's an opportunity developing. Walmsley makes the save. The rebound gets loose. Soviets can't center. They had a man standing in the slot. Smirnov had come in from the blue line, but they couldn't find him. Now Makarov for the lead pass. Merzin's shot is turned aside, and the Soviets clear it down the ice.
Over the years,
opportunity there.
Yeah, it was a good scoring opportunity, Jakes, but you'll find.
And there is no score. Early first period action. You take a look at the pictures here in the Calgary zone. Telebukin, a neat little pass.
Well, okay, Walmsley just made a move a little bit too much, and now he couldn't find the puck, and he was a little out of control, but he had enough presence to try to find the puck and just not scramble to net. So it was a key save for Walmsley. Makarov here, just a nice little depth pass to Otto. This is what I was going to point out, Jakes, that the Russian goalkeepers now are just a little bit more agile, have a little bit more presence, and they square themselves to the puck on tight-end shots.
Well, they've been looking for outstanding goaltending ever since Tretiak retired, in theory. Yelnikov, playing now in the National Hockey League with the Quebec Nordiques, gave them some pretty good goaltending. The national team is still apparently in need of an outstanding young goalkeeper. Strykov moves in. He's hauled down by Suter. Gary Suter's going to get a gate. Got the stick up under the chin.
I think Gary got
off, and then now Fleury is throwing the weight around a little bit.
I think Gary got that lasso over the corral here, Jakes.
Yeah.
But again, Russians saw a little seam. The Soviet player saw a little seam and left it take it. Gary Suter, being the weak side defenseman, maybe should have just backed in and protected McGinnis a little bit. But he got caught flat-footed. When he got caught flat-footed, then he had to reach out. Then he's in trouble. So both players, McGinnis and Suter, had their stick up, and he elected to get McGinnis and not Suter. But he couldn't call either one of them, Jigs.
Strykov, the left winger, playing with Volgin and Kwartlanov on that line. Dmitry Kwartlanov, the younger of the two brothers.
Very interesting thing down the other side of the ice. You'll see the Soviet player, the goalkeeper, go to his knees for a little rest.
Now the Soviets with the man advantage. Walmsley is tested. Here's Yashin with a shot that hit the side of the net. Yashin digs it out of the corner, centered it out in front. Valgin puts it into the corner again. Dmitry Kwartlanov and Yashin at the blue line. It's broken up and cleared out by Jamie McCowan. One thing the Soviets do, and we talked about it in the past, I'm sure, they don't have a set power play unit. It's whoever is up, whichever line, and they go with 5-man units, the 3 forwards and the 2 defensemen. They don't really work on the power play. They don't really work on penalty killing. It's just, it's your turn, you go out and do the job.
That's right. That's a unique thing. But, you know, when they have that philosophy over there, they like to develop depth. And also what this does, it's great for the morale of a hockey club, Jigs, when you don't get into special league teams. You spread the wealth around, you develop your players. As I said, that morale is very important.
Himik out shooting Calgary 4-2. They hold the puck at the line, and the collision there. Good hit by Mullen, knocking the defenseman off the puck. Yakovenko playing on the point at the moment. Soviets turning at their own blue line. Valgin plays it back to the far side. Valgin with it again. Tries the right wing. Beacon trying to cut in. He could not. And out at center ice. They handle it again. Valgin played it to the right side. It's tipped right back into the Calgary zone with 27 seconds remaining in Suter's hooking penalty. There is no score. Dana Merson is celebrating a birthday today. Steps over center and dumps it on in. Valgin back for it. Fleury into forecheck. 14 seconds remaining in Himik's power play. There is no score. Ashmeakin dumps one in. Ashmeakin, probably the best all-round player on this team, number 10, former draft pick of the Edmonton Oilers. He's the man that we told you about the other night who ran into the problems. Non-conformist, and here's McGinnis trying to break over the line. The play broken up. Adam McQuillan put it out in center ice, and it shot right back in again. 12.5 minutes remaining in the opening period. Soviets spotting the Flames in the middle of the player change. That transition at center ice, but it's broken up. McCrimmon dropped back to the Calgary blue line.
Jakes, that transition to center ice, it's not the guy receiving the pass who's the dangerous one, because he's just going to deflect it off to one of the alleys, and someone's going to try to fill that alley. That's the guy you got to watch, and there was a good little case in it. Long pass, deflection, and let that guy try to get it on the fly.
Now Bergquist for Calgary, trying to get over center ice. McCrimmon dumps one in. And that's Smirnoff back for the Soviets. Got it to the line. McCrimmon held it in. He's given it to Radina. Centers one. It's deflected. Went off the goalkeeper. Rada McKillen picks it up and starts out on the far side. Rada McKillen out there on this forward line. This young man that had such a good game, in our opinion, in Los Angeles, used the body an awful lot in the opening game of the series, especially against Marty McSorley. Now the Soviets come to center and dump it on in. We talked at the beginning tonight about dump and chase, not the usual Soviet style, but they're making it work. Zalapukin chasing the puck now. Played off the boards, away from Titov. Gary Suter for Calgary, leads it off the head. Roberts got to the line and was checked. Zalapukin come down the right wing. It's knocked off his stick. Koski left it for his defense mate. Titov moves in. He gets checked. The forechecking here of the Flames, but back come the Soviets. And at center ice, McGinnis handling the puck, just dumped it across the blue line. Kudasov out tonight, number 26 for the Soviet team. They're using some players that we did not see in the opening game in Los Angeles.
Jakes, the Russians have, the Soviets have adapted to things from North America, and as you pointed out, they will dump the puck a little bit more. Another thing that happens, the goalkeeper will leave that net and handle the puck more so than they've ever done before.
Well, they claim that they came over here, studied our game, studied the North American game, went home, refined it, redefined it in some terms, and brought it back and showed us how it should be played. But now they've adapted more to what we're experiencing these days in the NHL. Chase style of game.
Well, they'll do it, not as much as they'll do in the National Hockey League, Jakes, but it's a hybrid type of game, and it's a better game for the Soviets, and it's a better game for the National Hockey League.
And an illustration right there is Cherrikov went out of the net, played the puck around the boards. Used to be they would never wander from that goal mouth. No score. We're at the midway point of the opening period. And Himik has iced the puck. So we're going to whistle here. No score. Face-off coming in the Soviet zone, and you're watching the series on Sports Channel. Into the ice. You look over the shoulder of the goalkeeper. There is no score. The Soviets and the Flames, each with 4 shots on goal. Calgary sending out the Fleury line with Makarov on the right side and Paul Ranheim on the left. Fleury gets the draw, and Ranheim has dropped it back to McCrimmon. In along the boards, it goes to Makarov. A wraparound pass through the defenseman. Now from back of the net. See the Soviets having everybody in. Makarov waiting for the puck to come out of there. It is not. And Ehrlman holds his man up against the boards, getting this draw in the other circle.
Jakes, when you talk about Makarov, here's a guy that's been the Soviet Player of the Year many times, leading scorer many times. I wonder what goes through his mind when he sees and plays against some of his old, not teammates, but I'm sure maybe he can use the comrades. Interesting thing, when you look at the Soviet goalkeepers now, they, as we pointed out, they handle the puck a little bit more. And what happens when the team is down the other end, they're going to go to their knees. They're going to get a little rest. It's tough standing on your feet. There's a lot of dehydration going on. Here's a way that they're going to save the body, save the mind, so to speak. And we'll see this as the game, evolves.
Quick to get back to those skates, wasn't he? Comes out, handles the puck. Now in this face-off, Fleury gets turned around. And the penalty called. Referee Rob Schick spotting something with Ranheim. Trukino apparently involved as well. Trukino and Ranheim going to the respective penalty boxes.
Paul Ranheim is an interesting guy, rookie out of the University of Wisconsin. You can never be, too sure with the depth that this Calgary Hockey Club has. They got to be out there every night working, especially these rookies. And he took a little swipe at it, and he got dumped himself. Paul Ranheim, they've got high hopes for him here in Calgary. Had a big year last year in Salt Lake City. 68 goals, Jakes, out of the University of Wisconsin. Got a great pair of legs.
Sure does. Good shot, too. Shot right there from the point. McCowan getting on target. The net came off. McClellan in pushing and shoving at the side of the net. Calgary, of course, with Priyakin and Makarov in the lineup tonight. The Flames have drafted 5 Soviets going back to 1983 and getting good play from these two.
All the Russians that have improved, I think the goalkeepers have improved more so. What I like about them now is their catch glove is better. They're down and up a little better. I think they skate better, and definitely they handle the stick better. It was a good example of the agility and the quickness on that shot from the point through a semi-screen.
Stretchiak, the best that you've ever seen, Herb?
Well, yes, that's for sure, but he's only been one. He haven't showed too many more.
We'll get back to it in just a moment. From the draw, the puck cleared around behind the Himik goal. It comes out to center ice and dumped right back in by McCrimmon. Joshking back for the Soviets. There is no score. Game 3 of the Super Series, and the Soviet team has dumped the puck in. Walmsley had to play it, however. Gave it to McCrimmon, and then to McCowan. Now to Fleury. Joshing chasing Fleury as he comes to center ice. Real Fleury dumping one in. Big Brian McClellan in after it. Played it to the corner. Makarov into forecheck. Makarov trying to tie up the defenseman, Yakovienko, and it's cleared out into the center ice area. Soviets can get no further. Mikulin out on this forward line again. Walski drops back on defense as we watch McCowan come over the line. Quick shot. Sibiekov dropped to his knees to make the save, and the puck comes right back to the left point. Makarov holds it in. Shot around the boards by Yakovienko. Puck knocked away, goes over the glass and up into the seats. Well, we take a look here at the history of this Calgary team, dating back to when they were the Atlanta Flames. Played a game. The only team that they lost to, as you saw, was the Red Army squad, going 3-1 in that set. Palapukin across the line, playing the puck into the far corner. Berdichevsky trying to move it around the boards. It comes to the right side here, and the Flames have difficulty getting it out of the zone. Now Radina has it. Radina, a Czech player, moves it up into the center ice zone. Bergquist over the line. The Soviet defenseman turning him around. Bergquist from back of the net went to center, one that's broken up and cleared out. Suter will take over at center ice. Gary Suter steps over the center ice line across the Calgary line, unloads one that just went wide of the net. Radina reached for it, couldn't pick it up, and it comes all the way back to Al McGinnis. McGinnis trying to play it up through the defense. And you see Kalyanin going back behind that Soviet goal. He spotted a man open here on the right side. So did Priakin, who comes in to knock the puck loose. He's given it to Neuendijk. They surround him, freeze it on the boards. Referee Rob Schick allows them to play it loose. And Himik is charged with an offside pass. 7 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in this opening period, and there is no score at Calgary.
That young lady. Most would every time I do say something, these people are laughing anyway. One way or another, Jakes.
We have about 7 minutes remaining in the opening period. Flames and Himik, Vospersensk, and here's an opportunity denied by Walmsley. He just went down, made the save. You see the way the man held the puck. Albert Malgin made Walmsley make the move and then couldn't beat him.
I'll tell you, Chris, I'm not too happy with that. He's disturbed about this Calgary Hockey Club. They're still trying to find those little pieces. They've done an awful lot of juggling in their hockey club defensive pairs, forward line combinations, whatever. Still trying to find just that chemistry, and so important. I don't know if it's the chemistry on the ice, the chemistry in the locker room, but they have to mesh. I thought Malgin was going to cut right across in front of Walmsley, but decided to go high to the short side.
And there, Priakin came up to tip the puck away from Yashkin, goes in after it at center. What a stop! Priakin making the play to Roberts, who broke toward the net. And the Soviet goalkeeper living up to the advanced billing again tonight. Roberts chasing Fedosov behind the net. Puck knocked away. Held in. Priakin got tripped up. Person recovers at center ice.
That was a great stop when he went to his left and he decked and he kept that pad up there. And one thing they've done better, they've been able to stack their pads. Before they were just out of sync when they would leave their feet and they'd be flapping like an octopus. They're more compact right now and they got better moves in the net.
Now here's Vashmikin moving in, and his shot takes off, deflected by Murzin. Vashmikin and Murzin exchanged greetings. You see Walmsley in the Calgary goal mouth. He's faced 5 shots. The Flames have had 8 at the other end of the ice. Vashmikin, former Edmonton draft pick, a nonconformist. The team would wear one helmet. He'd wear something different. He's quite a player.
Well, here's a great opportunity for Calgary right now. But you watch how the Soviets are playing this thing. It's a 2-on-1 situation. They try to break it down to a 2-on-2. Gary Roberts was able to beat his check. That was a tremendous save. Tremendous save by Cherikov. as he decked himself. And again, he's moving. He was out, back, pivoted, and got to a deck. Now, that was a big league save right there.
Gilmore trying to set up Mullen as the play moves back into the Himik zone, and it's cleared out and down the ice. McCrimmon going back for it. Icing has been waved off. The Soviets come into forecheck. Joey Mullen gets tied up, knocked off his skate, centering pass. Ends up on the far boards, and Doug Gilmore has it. 4 players from Himik get back. The pass onto the stick of Mullen, cuts in, and he is beaten by Cherviakov. Cherviakov has come up with some stellar saves here in the opening period. Apparently, from all reports, he had only a so-so games up with a big save on Joey Mullen.
Well, the 2 big saves made both by the Soviet goalkeeper. He waited and waited, and he took Joey Mullen in a situation where Joey could not draw it across him because he cut that thing off, and then he was able to deck his pads, and Joey could not get it up. A tremendous save.
And there, Calgary gets a bouncing puck to get a 1-0 lead right from the face-off. Fleury, they found a way.
Well, it was kind of funny, Jigs. He came up with a couple of saves, and if Calgary had scored on any of those 2, Rabbits or Mullen, you'd say, well, that was a great shot, not much you could do there. Then this little situation here, when Fleury just tipped it out into the air, and it tied his hands, and it just dropped right between his legs. You talk about the importance of face-off. The Soviet player makes a big mistake, center on center in the defensive zone. You don't leave the man loose like that. Took the draw, and then he started chasing the puck. Fleury went to the net and tipped it.
Theo Fleury in 14:52. Opening period has given Calgary a 1-0 lead. Fleury had some interesting comments to one of the local writers today. Some talk about whether or not there is any importance or interest on the part of the players in playing this. And he said, oh, I enjoy the game. I love to play the game. I want to get out there and play it now. The enthusiasm of Fleury giving Calgary the lead at 14:52. Himik starting out of their own zone. Fedosov's pass at center ice was blocked by Ranheim, however. Now Suter reaches for it. And it's controlled, brought to the right side, and dumped down by Radina. Smirnoff works it out to center ice. Johansson out again for Calgary. Lays it on into the Himik zone. 10 shots for the Flames, 5 for Himik.
It's interesting to look at the Soviet bench. I've counted 7 people behind the players, and their head coach standing up on the bench.
Medical staff, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, there's all kinds of speculation as who those people in the dark suits really are. They come with little medical bags. Training staff all wear suits. Got the coach, Vasiliev, and 2 assistants, and 4 others. Merson at center ice. Across the Himik line. Took a hit by Fedosov as he dropped it back of the net. Now Sheekin moves it around the boards. Titov at center ice. Vizela Pukin. It's knocked away from him. Nieuwendyk played it back into Merson. Then to McCrimmon. His pass through the center ice zone to Nieuwendyk. Up ahead to Roberts. Look toward Priakin, who breaks toward the net. Relays one just wide of Cherviakov. Titov for the Soviets. Turned it over to Roberts. His drive is deflected. Ends up in the corner. Nieuwendyk goes in after it. There's Roberts as well. Gary Roberts pulls it off the boards and has given it to Sergei Priakin. Priakin for the Flames. Went to center. It's broken up. Comes right back to Priakin. A backhander. Pad save by Cherviakov. Nieuwendyk takes the man, but Himik is able to get control of the puck, and they've dumped it down the ice.
The Soviets are liking to play a very conservative style. They're not forechecking unless they got a loose puck. They're very conservative in the neutral zone. They got 4 guys at their defensive blue line, despite the fact they've got to just be a little more physical. They've got a numerical advantage all over the ice when they don't have the puck, but they don't get involved physically.
Strikov centers one. Yeah, the physical aspect that we saw in Los Angeles on Monday has been absent here tonight. Gilmore gets bumped on the boards, however, by Smirnov. Kortlanov comes over the line. Dmitry Kortlanov moves in. Wamsley stacks the pads to make the save off number 18. The top scorer in the Soviet Elite League, Dmitry Kortlanov, had a golden opportunity. Now it's held in on the far wing. Malgin puts it in the corner. It's centered out in front. Here's Malgin to Smirnov, and his shot is turned aside. The defense coming up for Calgary. They move the puck to center ice. Himik gets to it there. Kortlanov is checked by Dana Merson.
That was the best 30 seconds that the Soviets had. They had a couple opportunities, but they're not putting it away, and Walmsley was outstanding there in a couple of shots.
Under 2 minutes to play in the opening period. Calgary leading 1-0. Pino across the line, dropped the puck. It's centered in front. Flejmz-Himik put it right through the goal mouth. He had Walmsley moving, and now the net is off the moorings. Play allowed to continue. Loose puck in the goal mouth is kicked aside. A backhander. They've scored. Bob Schick pointing to the puck in the back of the net. We're tied 1-1. Roman, I believe, is the man who tipped it in by Walmsley. He was the star of the game in Los Angeles with a pair of goals on Monday night. And he has tied it here with 1 minute and 24 seconds left in the first period.
It was your Elman, Jakes, and he got a loose puck right on the side there, and Walmsley could not move over to the short side, and he just buried it. But more importantly, Calgary, you don't see this too much. You've seen a little bit this year, but again, they were running around. Nobody stayed with their checks. And when you don't stay with your check, you don't stay with your man, the guy that you left is the important guy, and that's the guy that's going to burn you, and that's exactly what happened. Once you're with him, stay with him, and then things will fall in its own place. But Calgary, over the last few minutes, they were running around in the defensive zone. Soviets haven't had it in there too often, but if they put a little more pressure on the Calgary defense, they might have some more opportunities, but they've elected to play a very conservative game without the puck.
Valor Roman scores at 18-18. Himik all tied up here, but Fedosov is going to get the gate. He put the elbow into Fleury. Fleury went right back. Chased Fedosov deep into his own zone, but now the Soviets will be a man short. Boy, did he put the elbow into him? Wow. Huh? It's being called interference. The defenseman Fedosov goes off at 18:58. He brought the elbow up into Theo Fleury, really upset the Calgary centerman. You see Fedosov over in the penalty box. Not to be confused with Fetisov. This is somebody totally different.
Now this is Vladimir Fedosov, 25 years of age, 5'11", 76 pounds. Not a big hockey player, but he's been very good over his career in the Soviet Union as an offensive defenseman.
Now we watch one of the best offensive defensemen in the National Hockey League, McGinnis, driving in around the boards. Fleury goes into forecheck. The puck came back to McGinnis. He sets up Suter. The Soviet player drop in front of him. Titov right on him. Fleury has given it to McGinnis to the side of the net for Makarov, and he can't shovel it home. 32 seconds remaining in the opening period.
The Calgary power play this year has been pretty good at 30%. They're still trying to find, as you look at their hockey club, you look at all their line combinations, they're still trying to find that common denominator. And I know it worries Terry Crisp, worries the coaching staff. There's a guy that hasn't worried him because he's had a tremendous year for him. A lot of conjecture about him. Well, should he be considered for the Calder Trophy, the Rookie of the Year?
Sure, he should. Don't you agree?
Two schools of thought. I don't know. I'd like to see the rule changed, but you can't change it now, so I guess he has to be considered. Maybe that sounds like a cop-out, but...
It is. I can't believe that from you. Why shouldn't he be Rookie of the Year if he puts the numbers up?
There might be someone who's going to beat him out regardless of the rules.
Well, it could well be. Young man in St. Louis by the name of Brindamore is having a heck of a year.
Madonna with the Minnesota North Stars having a great year.
Now Fleury is across the line, set it up, and the drive is a little wide of the net. It came back to McGinnis to Suter. Through a screen, that's wide. Makarov can't get to it. Smirnov knocking it away from him. And Himik has iced the puck as the horn sounds to end the opening period. Fleury and Roman, the goal scorers, and a pretty good period once they got things rolling here, Herb.
Well, yes, it was pretty good, but again...
The Soviets 12-7 in the opening period. While we have a moment, Jim, what are you doing these days?
Well, I've been talking to a lot of people about what types of opportunities there are, Jakes, and it's been real interesting, to say the least.
Was it a spur-of-the-moment retirement or something that you've been thinking about for some time?
No, it was something that I had thought about for some time. I thought if I ever won a cup, I'd look seriously at it, and I did, and now I'm sitting up here with you.
And waiting for that ring, huh?
Waiting for the ring, you bet.
On it before Christmas. McGinnis holding it in on this power play has given it to Suter. Banked it off the boards right into the goal mouth. Zalapukin able to recover. Zalapukin feeding it out into center ice. This is Titov all by himself, then surrounded by the Flames, and it's McGinnis over to try and knock it away from him. Titov comes back to the players' bench. 20 seconds remaining. Malgin picking up the forechecking, but it's Gilmore giving it to Mullen in the play offside at the Himik blue line. You made that trip. As we look at your teammate, former teammate Al McGinnis, he made that trip to the Soviet Union. McGinnis, the rest of the guys enjoy it?
Well, we had a couple of problems with it, but overall it was just an outstanding adventure. And with the things that have taken place in the East in the last month or so, it just really brings home how timely, in fact, it was. It was a great trip all around, Jigs. I'd love to go back there again.
Reports coming out of the league meetings in Palm Beach, Florida right now state that the North Stars from Minnesota and the Canadians from Montreal will make the tour next fall. That is yet to be officially firmed up, I believe, but those appear to be the two teams that'll go. Himik kills off the penalty to Fetisov, and we watch Al McGinnis, last year's Conn Smythe Trophy winner, most valuable player in the playoffs. Sanapano to McGinnis, and his shot is blocked at the side of the net. Right back to Suter, unloads one through a screen, and it's blocked. Chervikov looked behind him. Puck wasn't there. Now Himik dumps it down the ice. Monsley trying to move it out. Couldn't miss Shane Heyer. And a trip here. The Soviet player down. Ostrikov had the feet pulled out from under him, so the Calgary Flames will be a man short. Doug Gilmore goes to the penalty box. Rob Schick making the call here. To go back to your experiences in the Soviet Union, I was reading recently where things are really expensive, and I guess we've heard that over the years, but the fact that meat and dairy product consumption is way down on the decline, no wonder they don't have the strength to stay up here, huh?
Well, it looked to me like he had a little bit extra strength to give himself a boost. I don't know that I'd have been calling a penalty in that situation. That one's right off the post.
And the Soviets got a big break right there. Chernikov was looking behind him. Al McGinnis had a good opportunity, and everybody thought it was in. A couple of Calgary players put their arms in the air. But you'd like to get a goal right now in the first couple of minutes of that period to get off and run, and I think that's maybe just the type of game that Calgary needs, just to get a little confidence in here, and it's every night out, you know, everybody just waiting for them.
Calgary, a man short, able to ice the puck, and they do as McCowan dumps it down. Yashin will go back. Yashikin. They go with the five-man unit, and lugging the puck over center ice is Malgin. Albert Malgin went to the left side. Wartmanov. Ostrikov to Fetisov. Yashikin, and he's checked. The Flames clear it to center ice. Half a minute gone, and the penalty to Gilmore. 1-1 is the score at Calgary. What are your memories of this Himik team when you played them in Leningrad, Jim?
Well, their uniforms weren't quite as bright. I can tell you that, and their skates were somewhat older. But
these are the old Vancouver Canuck uniforms, I think, aren't they?
I kind of like them. I think they're colorful, and I like the way they're put together. They're a much quicker looking team than what I saw in Leningrad.
Yeah, they've surprised a lot of people, especially in the Soviet Union, by jumping out. They had a 14-game undefeated streak, well up ahead of teams that we're very familiar with: Central Red Army, Soviet Wings.
Well, they've got some pretty good skill, and with the transition in the national team now, I think that's probably given them a bit of a boost. They've got half a dozen players or so that are on the national team, and that's definitely helping this club.
Big Joel Otto moving in. That got tied up by Chelyanin. Otto takes the puck away from him, dragged it a little bit. Zukino knocked it off his stick, and the Soviets there. Elman is across the line. Long rink-wide pass. Zukino can't make the play out of the corner as Merzen was right in his face. Now it's centered out. Smirnov's shot was blocked. He's able to get it into the corner for Ehrlman. Ehrlman beats the blue line. Chelyanin right back to Smirnov. Take a little wrist pass into the corner. Comes back to Smirnov. Smirnov plays it back the other way. As Meekin over on the left wing boards. Teams are at 6 aside, and the Soviets take the lead. That neat little pass, just hold it, patience, and Himik leads Calgary by a score of 2-1.
Jigs, that happened just as Dougie Gilmore was stepping out on the ice. He could not get back into that zone, and fast enough, just coming over the blue line. And Brad McKibben was out there a long time, and he was a little tired. He ran out of gas in front of Rick Walmsley and could not recover. Again, he couldn't find time to get off the ice. Calgary got tired at an inopportune time. That's why those changes right in the last part the last part of a power play is so important. Again, as you pointed out, Jiggs, the Soviet player just held it. Wamsley had no chance. McCrimmon could not get back to help out.
And eventually the puck will go in the net. You're seeing the power play being set up here.
Dana Mercer
over and then bang.
Dana Mercer went over a little too far, especially when he had Brad McCrimmon up on top of the circle. Maybe he should have stayed home, let everything to the outside. But when you make a move, there's someone that's got to fill in, especially at forward. Nobody could get back to help out.
Aquino took a lot of punishment. Number 15, he was belted a couple of times in front of that Calgary goal and seemed to be hurting a little as he went back to the bench after the goal. It was scored at the 3:35 mark. So Himik leads the Flames, the Stanley Cup champs, by a score of 2-1. Fetisov moves it up along the boards and out of center ice. Calgary recovers there. This is Roger Johansson. Johansson, who hasn't seen a great deal of ice time, hasn't played in that many games, getting some work tonight as Ranheim tries to cut in on Fetisov. Fetisov knocked it off his stick, and there's Fleury trying to center the puck. Neshov broke up the play, and out at center ice, Makarov is back for Calgary. Gave it to McCowan, to Makarov over on right wing. 3 Soviets back as Makarov comes over the line. That's it on the backhand pass into the slot. Ranheim couldn't get a stick on it. The Soviets move into the Calgary end of the ice. Chesky was knocked off the puck, and Makarov feeds it up to Ranheim. Goes to the left side for Fleury, who dumps it in. Ranheim chases it. Cherviakov plays it around to the far side. Berdichevsky gets tangled up on the boards. There's Makarov. Fleury comes in. The puck goes back to Ranheim. All 3 Calgary forwards over on the right wing boards. Now they move out. McGinnis tees one up. Shoots. Blocked by Cherviakov. McGinnis another drive. Blocked in front this time. Fleury battling away. Fleury pushing at Chelyanin. He got away from him, and the puck comes back to the left point and away from Dana Merzen. Merzen bumped by Zalapukin. Etop over the Calgary line, slipped one to his teammate who shot it wide, and back forward is McClellan. We played just over 5 minutes of the second period. McClellan up the middle of the ice. Through some traffic, and the puck was tipped away at the defense. Berdichevsky took a pretty good hit from McClellan over on the far wing. Calgary starting to throw the weight around. Joey Mullen stepped into his man. Now McClellan comes in. Merzen shoots the puck in on a delayed offside.
Dana Merzen almost took the Soviets' defense's head right off.
Going to the body more regularly. Calgary trailing 2-1. We mentioned earlier the Flames in some tough straits here recently. They've won only twice in their last 12 games. In fairness, four of those games ended in ties, and they lead the NHL with 8 ties thus far.
Over the last 3 minutes, this game is picked up. Tempo's picked up. Both hockey clubs picked up. Calgary stung it by going down 2-1. They don't want to lose this game. All they have to do is maintain this pace, finish their checks, make some shots. They're going to be fine.
You talked to some of your former teammates about their interest in this game, Jim?
Well, I've been involved in a couple of them, and I think the interest is somewhat reduced before the game starts. But as soon as you get into the competition and you realize how much fun you can have, it picks up. And I think we're starting to see that at this point in the game. And the Flames are down, and they're looking to make it a game and to compete.
Would you like to see the points, say 2 points for a win, 1 for a tie, count in NHL standings?
No, I don't think we ever want to get to that. It's not a big part of our schedule, but it's a fun game to play. I always enjoy playing it.
Wamsley handling the puck in the Calgary goal mouth, and it's picked up by Brad McCrimmon. There's been some discussion apparently at the governor's meetings in Florida just now about that possibility of the points counting in the standings to add to the interest.
Well, there's been discussions at the governor's meetings about taking out the red line as well, and I think that although some of these things seem to make some sense, they at times get overplayed.
Radina handling the puck here with a pass to Roberts, and his backhander may have been going wide, but Cherviakov grabbed it and held on to it. The Soviets lead Calgary 2-1. We'll be back in a moment. Cherviakov, the 24-year-old goalkeeper for the Soviets, facing Al McGinnis a couple of times here in this second period, Herb.
Well, I don't think he knows who Al McGinnis is, and maybe he does, but if he did, he would be a little bit more nimble than he was. Just like the guy the other night in L.A., Jigs, when they were running Marty McSorley, and I said, hey, he doesn't know who he's running at.
Rada McCullough was involved there a couple of times. Marty looking around to see who number 9 was. The last few moments, Calgary has taken the body more regularly, trailing 2-1 here on home ice.
Here's what the Soviets will do. They'll start spreading out the ice. They'll start lengthening the width and the depth of the ice. Look for those long passes. They start using the clock. They run the clock in their favor. That's why the Calgary defense would have to move up, close the gap, force some turnovers.
Keeps everybody in stitches. There's many times during the game where I look up and I get a grin on my face with what Harvey's doing and the pain that he's enduring going down the aisle.
He's also got a comic strip that he has just developed. Appeared, I think, last week for the first time, did it not?
Well, that was something that I didn't know, but he's become a real fan favorite here, so it wouldn't surprise me one little bit if he's into something like that now.
Well, the NHL official, I think we have. The penalty here, of course, will give Calgary the power play opportunity. Walsh again getting the gate.
You know what you find out when you go to the net, you're going to draw some penalties, and the case in point right there. The Soviet player was holding on. He did it right in front of Robbie Schick, and he got it. Big opportunity for Calgary. Get this thing back in an even keel.
Hogan in the penalty box. Suter handles the puck with the pass to McGinnis. Right to the right side. Makarov fake once. Now feeds it off. Intended for Suter. He's up by Zalapukin as he went to the corner for it. Valery Zalapukin knocked down. There's Fleury battling for it on the boards along with Nieuwendyk. Fleury walks off the boards, comes right in front, centers, and Makarov scores! What a play by Fleury to set up Makarov.
And it was a tremendous play by Theron Fleury. He just held. I thought he was going to try to flip it over the Soviet defensive stick, but he brought it back into his own feet, let him slide by, and then he just gave it to Makarov wide open net. He couldn't miss that one. Again, he's sort of the designated shooter on that thing. When the planes go into that nice umbrella on top, there's always going to somebody open. There's a tremendous move there. Again, maybe the Soviet defenseman should say, well, do I go to Makarov and let the goalkeeper take Fleury? But if you're going to make a move, you got to go one way or another, not get caught out in open ice.
Well, Fleury made him commit himself, and when the D did go down, Flower made the right play. What did surprise me, or wouldn't have surprised me, if Makarov would have put it back to Fleury. Yeah. He loves to do that.
Doesn't want to score, he doesn't want to shoot.
Well, he doesn't mind scoring either.
Does he really overhandle the puck, in your opinion, Jim? Does he overpass?
If I could handle the puck as well as Sergei Makarov, I'd handle it a lot more. And I'll tell you, I don't mind watching him handle it. He's such an exciting player. He knows what he's doing, and I don't think it's right for somebody to be telling him to shoot at every opportunity. He's creating chances all the time.
There's a rookie by the name of Ranheim who tried to cut in off the left side. Makarov with the puck here. Look at that move. Makarov ate up the defenseman and then couldn't get it to Ranheim.
Well, that's what Jim was talking right there. He might have had a pretty good shot in the short side high, but he liked to pass over there to Fleury through some traffic.
Well, he's capable of putting the puck right on the tape, and when you have somebody that can do that, you go to the net. Gary Roberts was a big part of that early on in the season with 15 goals and I think 15 or 16 games.
Jim, when did Terry Crisp go to this line of Makarov, Ranheim, and Fleury?
I'm sorry, Herb?
When did they put Makarov with Fleury and Ranheim? Was it just recently?
That is just for tonight.
Here's what we were talking about earlier. Makarov, again, you're going to see him come up with the puck a little bit early. He's going to go down, make just a little move to the inside. Now, he just sees the ice. He's got that vision. He's got the feel. He's got an instinct where everybody is. Most people might have shot this puck to the short side high, but now he feels Fleury off to the side there, and he tries to thread that needle. And as Jim said, you know, he can do it. When you got it, when a player like that can do it, well, you just have to let him go.
He's as slippery as a greased pig, and if you've got somebody that can read off him a bit, even if you're not doing the right thing, he seems to find you. It's just an incredible talent.
I sort of like a player like that too. The great players, the great point guards in basketball, Jim, where they see that ice. Roger Johansson taking a big hit there, running after that Soviet player.
There's regular comments that the Swedes aren't that physical, but from what I've seen of Roger Johansson this year, he's a spunky guy, and that's just what the Flames need.
Jim Poplinski joining us in our telecast booth here at the Olympic Saddledome as Himik has just iced the puck. We're sitting with exactly 9 minutes and 4 seconds to play in the second period, and the score tied 2-2.
It'd be interesting, Jigs, to look at the number of icings and offsides that the Russian teams run into. I think of games in the Soviet Union when we were there that seemed to go forever without an offside unless we were causing it. And it's just part of their flow game and a good indication of what kind of discipline they have. They don't put the players offside, and consequently they get a lot more counters and offensive zone attacks because of it.
They have no feel for television, in other words, and the fact that we need 30-second commercials every now and then.
Well, that's why they have the odd guy like me that can fumble it and dump it over the boards and create a whistle.
Oh, what's this league without Jim Duplinsky? Referee know better than that. Oh, what a hit. McCowan got Trujillo with his head down and gave him a pretty good shot right in front of the Soviet bench. Now the puck dumped in. McClellan in to chase it. Turned to see if there was anybody around. He spotted Mullen, couldn't get it to him. This is Gilmore in off the left side. In front to Mullen. His backhander was blocked as a defense. Soviets up with it again. Vashnikin looked at the move, then he gets upended at center. Play allowed to continue. Vashnikin doesn't believe it. We welcome our audience in Sports Channel Florida territory who's just joined this telecast from the Olympic Saddle Dome in Calgary. The Flames and Himik of Ostrasensk are tied 2-2. Himik is playing their third game on the tour, the NHL Super Series. They defeated the Los Angeles Kings, lost in Edmonton, and have led here tonight 2-1. The trail now, they're up one, or at least trailed 1-0, then went ahead. And they come right knocking at the door here again. Out Matulin in the corner. Matulin playing it around the boards. Bedasov sets up at the right point. He got checked by Joel Otto. Bedasov drops it back into the center ice zone. Soviets trying to move it through center. And Otto's pass was knocked away. Cleared back inside the Calgary zone. That's Merzen to Roger Johansson. Johansson slipped it by one man and now dumps it to the Himik blue line. Sheen able to trap it there. And they bring it back. They've broken up at the Calgary line. Here's Otto to Merzen. Got it in wide of the net. It bounced right out in front. Is grabbed and then fed off by the goalkeeper.
That's a planned play, Jigs. Dana Merzen can shoot the puck from 150 feet away and hit a 2-inch piece of iron in the corner and cause it to be a shot on net. It's quite a talent.
You're going to have me believe in this, Jim. You keep this up. Zalapukin here. On the right side. Zalapukin trying to cut in. Can't get around Merzen. That, too, is a set play.
I like to see my leader here just get his chain pulled like that. Jimmy, keep it up. Not too often you just get Jigs McDonald flat-footed. That's a good one, Jim.
Yeah, the payback is what? 6.5 minutes to go in the second period. It was 1-1 at the end of the first. They're open with the second of the game. Gave Himik the 2-1 lead before Makarov scored for Calgary. This is Pryakin. Sergei Pryakin to Suter. And now back to McCrimmon. Flames captain dumps one in. Chelyanin chasing it, takes it back in the net, then played it away from Pryakin, but McCrimmon got to it. He's given it to Pryakin. To Fleury, back to Pryakin. Smirnoff all over him. Pryakin to Fleury, now to the blue line to McCrimmon, and his shot went off the forward. Vidachevsky was moving up. Puck still loose. Zalapukin gets over the center ice strike. Fleury steps in front of him. The puck goes loose for Brad McCrimmon. A little less than 6 minutes to go in the second period. Fleury to McCrimmon. McCrimmon takes a look, fed it off to Fleury over on the right wing. Didn't play it through center ice. It hit Vostrikov. Right back to Fleury. Steps over the line with Ranheim. Fleury holds it. Backhand shot. He scores! And immediately, Gerbiakov points to the 5-hole. Let's take a look at it.
Well, Fleury makes a great move. You watch how he sets his feet there, and he just had great body control. And I'm not so sure from this angle if his first shot went in or the rebound went in. But here's the body control and the quickness he has with his hands. You watch his feet shoulder width apart. And again, he got pretty good wood on that thing, even from a backhander. And you go back, Jim, when they said this little guy couldn't play.
Well, I'll tell you, I was one of the doubters, and I got to be honest with you. I look at that goal, and I see Flower making a heck of a play, and as well, Paul Ranheim. The Soviet goaltender is a little upset with his defenseman, but you've got Ranheim that's 5'11", 210 pounds, going to the net. as hard as he did in that play, and Flower gets the puck on the net, and the result is a goal.
Not everybody, but an 8th round choice, 166 pick in that draft, and I'm telling you, he is a real find for this organization. And yes, there are a lot of people doubted he could play, but he's proved all his most staunchest critics totally wrong.
Calgary with a goal lead, up 3-2. Gilmore gets the puck to Mullen. Joey Mullen plays it into the corner. Ryan McClellan back to the net. McClellan tied up by Yakovenkov. The Flames hold it, giving it to Mullen. Gilmore turned, tried to get to the front of the net. Now Gilmore takes it back of the goal. The moves that he made. Now he centers one. Mullen couldn't get the stick on it. And Portlanov has it for Himik. Portlanov dumps it through center ice. Vostrikov, who had just come out of the player change, did not make contact. And the Flames move it right back to Mullen. Moves in. Quick little shot from close range. And the goalkeeper, Cherviakov, really upset with his defense.
Yes, he is. He was very upset, as Jim Popinski mentioned, that his defenseman didn't take Ranheim going to the net. And all of a sudden, he found himself facing Joey Mullen. Nobody picked him up, but he made a great leg save in tight. And that's one of the things the Soviet goalkeepers have done. They're able to move a lot better. They're down and up a lot better. Their catch club is better. Their use of the stick is better. And probably that position is more improved than anything else in Soviet hockey.
We'll be back in Calgary in just a moment.
This is one of my favorite plays, getting the puck rolling. Joey Mullen does a heck of a job of getting a shot with a rolling puck, something that I wasn't able to do. He does a fine job, and Cherviakov ends up kicking out that right leg and is equal to the task with an outstanding save.
He has been yapping away at his teammates. I mentioned how upset he was, and during the commercial, I just said to Jimmy, he must remind you of a former goalie that you played with, Jim, by the name of Daniel Hector Bouchard.
Well, you get in the middle of a game and you want to do your best and you want to stop a goal against, and at times emotions get in the way of what should be done. But I didn't see that his defenseman made a big mistake. I think if he was complaining to them, he's out of line.
The Soviets trailing by a score of 3-2 here. Try one of those wraparounds. Gino got pushed off the puck. Actually got decked. Now Otto dumps it in.
Gives you an idea of the strength of Al McGinnis. He's got tremendous upper body strength. He was standing planted, and he just bench pressed the Soviet 20 feet into the corner.
Moves there shown by Vashmikin. Vashmikin, of course, we mentioned earlier, former draft pick of the Edmonton Oilers. See the goaltender covering the puck, and we'll get a face-off here. The Calgary Flames are leading 3-2, and you're watching the Soviet Super Series live on Sports Channel. Well, Rick Wamsley has faced only 4 shots in this period. The other end of the ice, the Flames have put 7 shots on Cherviakov.
Well, I'm sure Terry Crisp is happy to see only 11 shots against his Calgary Flames tonight. There's been a bit of concern from the defensive standpoint, and to keep a Soviet team to 11 shots is a good accomplishment.
What about the balance of the NHL season for this Calgary team? Can they get it back together? Can they get that missing ingredient, whatever it is right now, Jim?
I think they can. I think that a good organization can overcome adversity, and the Flames have had good success over the last 2 years without a lot of adversity. A situation like they're facing right now will make them better in the long run, although that's very tough to believe at this point in the season.
They're coming off a 4-3 loss to the Winnipeg Jets. Here's Neuendijk with a drive up high. Cherviakov had it apparently, then squatted it into the corner. Defenseman Chalyanin trying to tie up Neuendijk, and the puck could not. His teammate pries it loose. Ben Smirnov here on the right side. He's the captain. 25-year-old defenseman dumps it into the Calgary zone, and it's Suter with it. Long pass to Neuendijk. Cross ice to Roberts. It's deflected and goes over the glass. Just to bring you up to date, this Calgary team trailing the Edmonton Oilers by a point in the Smythe Division standings. Calgary 2 games over 500, 12, 10, and 8. A lot of goals for, 129, leading the league in that department, but 108 goals against. Can't be sitting too well. There's a look at the Soviet bench, the Himik group. We talked earlier about the number of people behind the bench. All right, there are a couple of assistant coaches, Gushin and Svertsov, along with the head coach, Vladimir Vasilyev. But Who are the rest of those people?
Surveillance, Jake's just a little surveillance. Even though things are changing, there's still that old school, and you have to have a couple of guys keeping an eye on the rest of the crew, I think.
The interpreter that is with the team just now was the interpreter for your club when you visited the Soviet Union as well, was he not?
Yeah, the interpreters have a great understanding of not only the language but the culture, and it's very, very interesting to sit down and talk to them a little bit to understand exactly what these guys are going through.
Well, this Himik team will be going to Detroit for a game on Monday. They're in Washington on Tuesday and in St. Louis next Thursday. That'll wrap up their 6-game trip. The next team over will be the Soviet Wings. They'll start their tour on Long Island against the Islanders on Tuesday, December 26th. We have less than a minute to go here in the second period. Trying to set up Zalapukin as he moved in off right wing. Quick drive, Wamsley to save. Chevsky with the shot. It is dropped right back to the point, though, and fired just wide by Malgin.
It's not the easiest game for any goalkeeper to play. They don't see enough shots, and all of a sudden there's a point blanker, and it's hard to find it.
And McGinnis played it in off the right wing boards, and we're down to the final 27 seconds. A pass up the middle didn't work. Joey Mullen with a long shot from center ice. 17 seconds left in the period. Portland off down the right side. James in that transition. McClellan trying to get it to Mullen over on right wing, and now the Soviets get it to the Calgary line, but no further. And that's going to do it for the second period, rather. Calgary getting a couple of goals, won by their Soviet, their pride and joy.
It was a great experience, and it should be looked at as such, and for teams to go in the future, they should be happy to participate.
Just don't bring back as much caviar as Poplinsky did.
Well, I did bring a couple of jars of caviar, Jigs, and unfortunately, I meant to bring you one here tonight, but I forgot it on the seat of my car.
That's all right. I've tasted fish. Don't worry about it.
This isn't fish. It's fish eggs. Jeepers.
Don't.
What are we working with out here?
I'm glad you said it, Jim. I'm glad you know it. You know, the cultural thing that my leader Jigs says goes, it just is. Well, I can't say over there. I just can't do it.
If I'm going to be punished with the two of you, I've got to.
Let's get them right now.
Got to get my licks in from time to time.
You've impressed me with your pronunciation of these names thus far. I can't.
Do you know the difference, Jim?
Yeah, Gilmore and McGinnis. They're difficult names to say. Those 2 syllables just drive me up the wall. And then you get a Nieuwendyk, and you've said that a couple of times very, very well.
Yeah, but you should have heard the way I used to butcher whatever it was when he first showed up with the Atlanta Flames, and then of course into Calgary here, and so much success, culminating with the Stanley Cup, winning in 6 games over the Canadiens in Montreal last May. That was then, and this is now, and Poplinsky's out of work.
For now.
Well, the audition hasn't gone that well, Jim. Let's be honest. Bergquist gets.
I can't disagree with you.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's get back to this game. We're a minute and a half into the third period. Medina tipping the puck into the center ice zone. Portland off. A check there. Malgin in on the play as well. Strykov, Malgin, and Portlanov. This forward line was the younger of the two Portlanovs. Dmitry was the leading scorer in the Soviet Elite League. Himik team is leading Central Red Army, leading the Soviet Wings, who are running 2-3. This is Ranheim cutting in. Didn't get completely around the defenseman, and Makarov handles the puck. Gave it to Fleury. He's been in on all the goals for Calgary, has 2 of them, and assisted on the other one. Makarov dumps one to the side of the net. Chevyakov trades it into the corner. There's Fleury battling for it. 2 Soviets down on the deck. Fleury pushing at his man. Makarov there as well, and Fleury is not a very popular Calgary Flame.
I thought that was an outstanding elbow. You put pressure on yourself, and I think that's a situation that he's finding himself in.
And a look at the Soviet coaches. They and the Calgary coaching staff went to dinner at one of the best steakhouses in Calgary last night.
And I'll tell you, they didn't take rubles there.
Oh, did you get your hands on any of those when you were in the Soviet Union?
I thought it would be kind of neat to bring back a restricted currency. So I must admit, I do have a couple of rubles.
Well, you get a couple more. Our producer, John Shannon, is guaranteed at least 2 for your efforts tonight.
Is that at the black market rate or the official rate?
Official rate. No, we're not into that black market stuff. Here, the Soviets setting up 2-on-1. They got the defenseman down. McCrimmon still on the ice. It's centered to Smirnov, and a shot turned aside by Wamsley. Loose puck. And is cleared. Chelyanin is down on the ice. The Soviet defenseman has been hurt. Calgary has just come back to score. We've got two Soviet defensemen lying on the ice inside the Calgary blue line. Chernoff is complaining to referee Rob Schick. That's Chelyanin. The other player is up and skating around now. But Schick let the play go on. Calgary goes down to score.
That's the one guy you don't want to have on a breakaway against the Soviet goalkeeper. He just waited and waited. As soon as he saw the little 5-hole, he just buried it.
You noticed as Makarov was going in how tense he was, Herb. He looked like he was really concerned with what he was going to do with the puck.
He was looking over his shoulder, looking back here, and he was saying, well, I should go get a hot dog or something.
When you've got a player like that that isn't quite sure about his abilities, he's rushing it as he did in that goal. I think he just got lucky.
There's a blind side here. Ranheim just ran right into him. Neither saw, one another. And Chelyanin went down. And the Soviet players, as the play came out of Calgary's defensive zone, they were yelling and yelling at Rob Schick to blow the whistle. He's just saying, Nate.
It's a difficult call for an official to make. You don't know the severity of the injury. Perhaps he saw the collision and didn't think that it was that bad. I believe that goal will go down as a power play goal because there was another Soviet to the right of Walmsley's crease laying in the prone position as well.
It should go down, and at least the trainer wasn't out helping anybody when the puck went in the net tonight.
Well, let's leave Bearcat out of this.
That goes back to the playoffs.
He's concerned about his players, Jigs. You got to love that.
Oh, yes. Roberts here on the right side trying to slip it through to Nieuwendyk. Did not, and the Soviets at center ice. Trying to move into the Calgary zone. Rock-Matulin was checked. Rock-Matulin laid a lick on Murzin, and there's going to be a penalty against Dana Murzin. It'll be a cross-checking call. So Himik will go to the power play. They're trailing by 2.
Crispy's yelling, shoot. One of the key points of every game is about to occur.
Take a look at the situation that developed a moment ago, and out of it Calgary will be a man short.
Well, Dana Murzin just got to stick in there and pull him down. Rob Schick, I felt he maybe just had a little pressure when he didn't call that other one or just blow that lone break by Makarov down, and I think he maybe overreacted here on Dana Murzin.
Dana probably could have used a little bit more discipline there. After he did haul the Soviet down, he administered a cross-check, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as Schick was concerned. He felt that warranted a penalty, and I'm not sure that he wasn't right.
Well, Jim, when we look at games unfold, there are certain moments within each game that are key moments. 4-2, 16 minutes left, third period. The Soviets in a power play. This is one of those key moments. They've got to get that goal. They got to, even though you might say there's a lot of time left, but you start looking at the shots on goal that Timicus had, only 13 shots on goal. They're not getting a lot of opportunities. So I think they got to convert this.
You're 100% right, Herb, and it's the good players and the good coaches that can see those opportunities as they materialize instead of looking back. As an example, it's 1-1 going into the second period, and the Flames hit the post. That is a crucial play for the Soviets. If they score, they're down 2-1. Otherwise, they come out of it 1-1. We're looking at a similar situation here.
Titov has gone to the front of the net. Soviets with a man advantage here. Titov, Delafukin trying to get something going. The play broken up. McCowan gave it to Ranheim, trying to split the defense. He's knocked down. Play allowed to continue. Ranheim has been very physical in this hockey game. Now Fetisov up with the puck. He's given it to Titov at center ice. Titov had it poke checked away. Ranheim controls it at center ice. Fleury was pushed in ahead of the play. Now gets back on side. Ranheim dumped it in. 55 seconds remaining in Murzin's cross-checking penalty. Flames lead by 2. Portmanov crossed the line, at the feet knocked out from under him, and down the right side. Bergquist for Calgary, over the line with Fleury. Bergquist for the shot, he scores!
Well, Herb, that's just in addition to what you were saying. I look at it, and I've got to say that the Flames realized exactly what you had pointed out, that this was a crucial point in the game, and a goal here could really put them in the driver's seat, and that's exactly what's happened.
So Jonas Bergquist, he was waiting for the Fleury to get open. The Soviet defenseman played it right. He tried to set up the goalie for the shot, and he opened up, and this is a great, nice little wrist shot here by Jonas Bergquist. He picked that
shot. Happy to see Bergquist too. He hasn't played in a little while. To get in here, get a goal, get a little bit of confidence. Boy, it's a shot in the arm.
He's played in 14 of the Flames games so far this season. This may be a shot at giving a little more ice time, although pretty tough to break up the combination that had done so well last season. Of course, Poplinski, McDonald, some of those people not around anymore.
Well, I thought you were going to straighten me out, Jiggs. I was waiting for the second one on me here.
Jim, I'm not going to, well, I may. Sit tight. Still half a minute to go in Mersen's cross-checking penalty. And at center ice, McCrimmon had the puck knocked away. Soviets trying to do something with it here. Number 10 is Flejmz-Himik. Igor Flejmz-Himik dumps it in. Walmsley puts it back in the net for Brad McCrimmon. Goes up the boards and down the ice with it. Can't overlook Rock Ramage. I think that's maybe an area that the Flames are missing a guy. Rammer probably maybe a little more than some people have anticipated, Jim.
Well, Rammer was and is a good physical defenseman. I think that he's not a type of player that's going to score you 80 points a season, but he's a quality guy, and those are the types of players that the teams are built around, that teams are successful with. And you're seeing Toronto feeling the effect of having Rammer there in their success thus far this season.
Rob Ramage and Brad Marsh up again, relived the junior days in London, Ontario, and the Leafs are responding.
The terrible twosome. They were they were a tear in junior, and they're helping the Leafs now.
Breaking pass up the middle, and Flejmz-Himik couldn't handle it. McCowan able to move the puck. Over the line with it is Neuendijk, but Roberts was ahead of the play, and that put the whole thing offside. But Calgary comfortable now with a 5-2 lead.
This time of the year, we're winning them. And this year we're losing them. And just about time we turned them around.
Well, this might be a pretty good tonic for Terry Crisp's Flames. At this game, no pressure as far as what it'll do in the standings concerned. Patulin with a shot. Bad save by Walmsley. Hasn't had a whole lot to do since Calgary took control of the game, but now the Soviets set up again. Patulin to the side of the net. The high shot turned aside by Walmsley. They volleyball it around and pass okay in the defensive zone, and the Flames up with it. Pryakin gets it right back from Roberts. Sergei Pryakin can't play it off the boards. Neuendijk there to help out. Pryakin and Yashin still battling for it. Roberts gets to it at the blue line. Right just behind Sergei Pryakin. Pryakin centers one. Comes right back to the blue line. Long shot just wide of the net as McCrimmon feed one up.
Jiggs, I think that shorthanded goal by Jonas Bergquist has just sort of demoralized the Soviets. We talk about the importance of that moment. Instead of a 4-3, now it's a...
He's been skating really, really well. For a guy, I mean, he hasn't played for how long now?
Just got to get a little more ice time.
Yeah. But that's what everybody wants. I mean, you know that better than anybody. Tough.
As play gets underway, McCrimmon lets one go from the Soviet blue line that's blocked. Bad save by the goalkeeper, but they failed to clear it out. Serbiakov puts it in the far corner. That's Otto in forechecking for Calgary. Soviet sends Zalapukin into center ice. It was knocked away from him. Smirnov can't get it back to Zalapukin. Radina can't get over center ice. Now Bergquist with it. Jonas Bergquist, who had that big goal, shorthanded for Calgary. Out there along with Radina and Otto.
The Soviets are going to have to put a little more pressure in that neutral zone. They're basically just forechecking one guy, and there's four guys standing at the blue line. They're not going to make up a 5-2 deficit against a club like Calgary that way.
They give up a 2-on-1. Flurry to Radina, and it went off the heel of his stick. Held by the goalkeeper, but not long enough for a face-off. 11 minutes, 22 seconds remaining in the third period at Calgary. I'm Jiggs McDonald with Herb Brooks and Jim Poplinski. Poplinski was playing for the Toronto Marlies the last time any team other than Central Red Army was leading the Soviet League. We're talking eons ago, folks. Leonid Brezhnev was running the Kremlin. We're talking about 4 party chiefs.
I'm glad you didn't say Khrushchev.
The late penalty in effect against the Soviets. Makarov, a wrap around in the goal mouth. It's covered and held. Schick, the referee, went down. So did the goalkeeper, and the Soviets will be a man short again as we pause for a regional break. You're watching the NHL Soviet Super Series live on Sports Channel America.
I haven't had anybody to pick on like this all year. Jeez, this is fun, Jim.
Yes, John?
Talking about what?
What does touch-up blue mean?
Let's go back. It's like a time warp. As we look at the situation here, it was 11-game losing streak, and Calgary was playing Dinamo Riga. And we're going back to 1986. They won that hockey game, and that season went to the Stanley Cup Finals against Montreal in the spring of '86.
I'm a little disappointed, Jigs, that we didn't see the rest of that clip. There was a Vancouver game, and I think I was just about to score the overtime winner. Jeepers, I didn't get that many, and I wouldn't have minded seeing it again.
Tough to get those things out of the Hall of Fame on short notice, Jim. Otto is parked right in front of the Soviet goal as they set one up for Mullen. Calgary gets to the puck again. Here's Joey Mullen feeding the blue line. That's Gary Suter. The Mullen back to McGinnis. Off the toe of his stick, he recovers. Trying to play it in toward the corner, but the Soviets are right there, and Himik dumps it up to center ice. McGinnis to Mullen. Plays it in deep. We're midway through the third period. Still a minute and 10 seconds remaining in the penalty here against the Soviet team. Ball game is off.
Jigs, I watched this game unwind. I think Calgary took over the game. And a funny point, when they went down 2-1, then they said, hey, we're not going to lose to these guys. And they picked up the tempo. They picked up everything. Their feet, the puck, everything else. From that point on, again, they've just dominated this game.
Jim Paplinsky, we want you to know how we feel about you. I mean, it's been a
Take
real...
your hand off my leg, Jigs.
No. Pepper. Wait a minute. Whoa. We may not be cute blue. We just may not go back and do what we had planned to do here in your honor.
I'm glad you're sitting between us right now, Pepper.
Look out, here's Fleury breaking in. Gets tripped up, and there'll be another penalty to Himik.
You know, Jigs, I really like what I'm seeing here.
See that goal?
What's going on here?
Here's the goal against Vancouver.
What a shot. That's got to be one of the hardest shots I've ever seen, and well placed.
Out of his booth at this stage. Here's the way the penalty call came, as you see Fleury being pulled down.
I said that I liked what I'm seeing, and the reason I say that is the Flames have got this game in control now, but they're not sitting back. What I'm interested to see now is if they really take the game, take it in control of it, and try to score more goals. Making sure
you did so well earlier.
Now you're putting me on the spot. They're just good Calgary cowgirls.
Mark Crimmin, Calgary with a two-man advantage here. They can turn the lights out on Himik. Only 7 seconds left in ballgame penalty now, however. Crimmin worked it into Makarov. One-man advantage for Calgary as Nieuwendyk sets things up behind the net. Makarov crowding things in front as they fed it off to Fleury to Nieuwendyk, whose shot went wide. Joe Nieuwendyk, former Rookie of the Year, holds it in the corner, comes out of the corner as they back away from him. Nieuwendyk to Makarov. Sergei Makarov to Joe Nieuwendyk. Look toward the blue line, gave the puck to McCrimmon, back to Nieuwendyk, shoots one, that was high. Bouncing right back to the point for McCowan, into Fleury.
Goalies just love to have those shots hit them on the top of their collarbone. That's something they all look for.
Dave Makarov hit the side of the net. And a wraparound. That's a little deflection. Almost got between the skates. Chervyakov. 58 seconds left in Smirnov's penalty time.
Nieuwendyk rifled that shot from the right side.
He just tried to wait for Chernikov to go down, and he just threw that thing up there, and everybody thought they were just going to give it back to Makarov at the goal line and let him just try to walk that goal line. But he wristed that thing. As you said, Jim, that's what they really like, right off the collarbone.
The only place it's better than in a game is in a practice.
Yeah, about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, it's cold outside, you know. Oh.
Former coach, former player, folks. You can understand why, I guess, huh?
And no former goalies.
Yeah, hard to believe. 30-15 are your shots on goal. Calgary leading there. McGinnis holds the puck in, plays it around the boards, and Mullen over on left wing. Looked toward Suter, played it in deeper. That's Joe Olato out with Gilmore and Mullen on this power play. McGinnis and Suter on the points.
I'm very impressed with Calgary right now. At the start of the game, Jim, we talked about maybe tonight is one of those little building blocks that Calgary can use to their advantage. And get over that little hump they're trying to get over.
Here they are, 3-on-1, and they score.
And there is a pretty play.
Doug Gilmore makes it 6-2.
I want to see somebody analyze this one and tell me what the Soviets can do to stop it. Otto makes a great pass. Gilmore's right there. Puts the puck up high over the pad.
Well, Jimmy, a lot of goals are scored because of a bad play, a bad defensive effort. But as you're talking about, and I agree with you, this was the result of a good play, an excellent read, an excellent transition, everything in a tremendous play. And again, Joel Otto waited and waited. Dougie Gilmore just jumped in that little hole.
Otto keeps skating, has his head up all the way to the net, waits for the Soviet defenseman to stretch himself out. Gilmore keeps going to the net. And it's 6-2.
Jim, let me go right back. We said before at the start of the game, tonight could be one of those building blocks. They're trying to get over the hump. They're just maybe a little out of sync. Out of sync in the locker room, out of sync on the ice. They need games like this for that confidence. Maybe it's sort of a laugher, but it sure feels good, and then they can build upon it.
It would be interesting, Herb, if you could come down tomorrow and watch practice and see the additional jump and the snap that guys have after they've scored a couple of goals and played pretty well.
There's McCowan with one that's kicked out. Comes right back to Johansson. Laid it in toward the corner. Radina with the pass to Priakin. Priakin, Radina, and Roberts. Very crisp, moving some people around in his lineup. Changing people in the forward lines. Radina taking exception to Ehrlman. And Radina trying to get it in front. Roberts parked in front of the goalkeeper, and they can't get the puck to him. Selenin dumps it through center ice and on into the Calgary zone. We have 6.5 minutes to play. Really, the NHL can't be laughing. Yes, they're up 6-2, Calgary is, and it appears the NHL teams will take a 2-1 lead in games in this series. But another look at the goal that gave Calgary a 6-2 lead. It was developing into a 3-on-1.
Well, in my estimation, Himik is almost throwing in the towel in that because half their people in the neutral zone just quit on their check and allowed Joel Otto to make a great pass to Dougie Gilmore. But it's the people away from the puck, people away from the play have really got to turn it on, both offensively and defensively. Don't do that, things are going to happen.
I think you're going to see the Flames score a couple more goals. I like the look of this, even though it's 6-2, they're looking to improve, and that's the way you get better, when you want to score goals and you want to keep them out of your own net at the same time.
Going back to 1976, when the Soviet teams first started to come over here, the Soviets lead the series 38 wins to 22 losses against the NHL teams. Only 5 games that ended in ties. So they have a bulge of 16 on the Bloods, 38-22. Get ready, folks. In the fall of '91, there will be another Canada Cup tournament. That's when we see the best of 6 countries. That's really when the whole enthusiasm of competition at the international level reaches something altogether different.
Jakes, I didn't realize there was a Canada Cup in '91. I might just get the blades back on and play in that. I hadn't considered that before my retirement. What do you think?
That certainly put a damper on the festivities right there. I mean, it'd be a heck of a training camp. The guys would get a lot of laughs, I'm sure, Jim, but didn't expect to play, I hope. Zelepukin was in offside at the blue line.
You know, Jim, when you talk about a Canada Cup, you made it not an unusual move, knowing your background, but you took time out to play with the 88th Canadian Olympic team. Your experiences.
Well, that was an opportunity that I never thought would ever materialize. In the success of the games, it was just an outstanding event and opportunity, and something that I cherish and remember as one of the highlights of my career.
Mullen with a shot that turned into a pad save for the Soviet goalkeeper. 31 shots Calgary has put on the target. They lead by a score of 6-2.
This line of Gilmore, McClellan, and Joey Mullen, they're really flying. It's good to see Joey get back into that swing of thing because he is, again, he can jumpstart you. And we all know what Dougie Gilmore can do.
Mullen is a great competitor, and a lot of these guys, you don't realize how good they are until you have the opportunity to play with them. I look at Joey Mullen as one of the more physical players on our team. Always finishing checks, always competing. He's a great guy to have on the bench.
6-2 is the score. Calgary. ready for a face-off just outside the Calgary blue line. The Flames are headed for Winnipeg. Back-to-back their next 2 games, getting back to the NHL regular season. If they can't feast off this, they're leading Himik by a score of 6-2. Long breaking pass just out of the reach of Portland off at the Calgary line, and Radina handles the puck. Turned it over in his own zone. Dmitry Portlanov off the right wing boards. Trying to center one all alone in front. Look at that save by Walmsley. Now Smirnoff with a shot. Blocked by Bergquist. Held in. This is Bogane at the side of the net. The late penalty call coming against Calgary. Soviets get it over to Smirnoff. Right back to the point. Zeledin's shot is deflected and grabbed. Held onto by Walmsley with 3.5 minutes to go in the third period. But Calgary will be shorthanded.
It's nice to see Rick Walmsley coming up with some big saves. He's only had 17 shots, but of those 17 shots, I got to say that 8 or 9 of them have been quality scoring opportunities. Well, just like this one.
Yeah, there's no question. And Jim, when you say there's only 17 shots, and then when you got to come up big, because of the pressure, you're never really in the flow of the game. So I think that's what makes those stops even more important and more dramatic.
Good concentration by Walmsley. He's kept his team in the game and allowed them to have a 6-2 lead right now.
Let's see what's going on up the road, where Edmonton leads Calgary by a point in the Smythe Division standings. They're leading Los Angeles by 2 goals. 4-2, Edmonton leading in the second. And they're in overtime. Winnipeg and Montreal tied 6-6. Shootout.
Jakes, it's great to see this crowd getting into the game. I don't know whether it's been a while since the Flames have been up by 4 goals or not, but it's an interesting component, something we don't see on a regular basis here.
Jim, let me ask you this. I just wonder what's going through the Soviets bench right now when they see the wave going on. I don't think they have this in the Soviet Union. Well, I haven't been over there for a while. But I was watching their heads. They kept looking around the stands. I said, what's going on with these people?
What's going on is a 2-on-1 for Calgary, but Uendijk, after getting it back from McCrimmon, is picked up by the Soviet defenseman. He gets away from him, brings it back out into center ice. See the head moving.
That was interesting. I didn't realize Newey had that little twitch, but
it's a Gordie Howe twitch.
You were talking about the waiver. We were in Moscow, and there was 100 or so fans from Calgary went over, and they tried to start a wave, and they got similar looks from the entire crowd. But it was kind of fun to watch.
Were the people there whistling, Jim?
Yeah, they were whistling. It was in Czechoslovakia. We had a great game in Prague. The fans were unbelievable, and the whistling and the cheering was just incredible. It was a neat thing to see. It was almost like being in a cave full of bats.
How would you know?
I've been in one.
He's an outdoorsman, Jigs.
2 minutes and 28 seconds remaining here. Soviets starting out of their own territory. A little chuckle in our booth here. We've just learned, late as it may be, and the Soviets get the power play goal, finally making it by a 6-3 score. Started to say we've just learned that all the general managers and governors of the National Hockey League down in Palm Beach, Florida, are tuned in tonight. The reviews, forget it, gentlemen. If there are any, just address them to Poplinski, care of Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
This is a fine play, McCowan just does about all he can. Walmsley stands his ground. The corner's picked. There's not much you can do about it.
Oleg Yashin scoring the power play goal for Himik. Himik is going to Detroit for a game on Monday. They're in Washington on Tuesday, and they finish up their 6-game tour on Thursday night at St. Louis. And the next Soviet team to come to North America will be the Wings, Soviet Wings, the Islanders on the 26th. The Wings go to Hartford on the 27th. Dynamo Moscow plays at Pittsburgh on Friday the 29th of December. And on Monday, January 1st, the Rangers will host the Soviet Wings. And it's Red Army's turn. They're in Minnesota on the 2nd of January. Dynamo Moscow at Buffalo on the 3rd. They're also at New Jersey on Saturday, January 6th. Red Army will play the Blackhawks in Chicago on January 7th, of Sunday. And on Tuesday, January 9th, Dynamo Moscow is at Boston, and the same night, Red Army finishes up the tour at Philadelphia. Those are the games around the U.S. still to come. And we hope you'll get out to see your hometown team and one of the 4 visiting teams from the Soviet Union.
I'm just astounded, Jigs. I saw you look over that sheet with all the games on it briefly before we started tonight, and then you recited that whole list verbatim. It's absolutely incredible. Where was the second game with Central Red Army?
Second with Central Red Army is in Chicago. That's in the U.S.
The way you can pull them out of that memory bank just amazes me to no end.
Yeah, stick around. I need a guy like you. Ranheim with a shot as he cut up the slot. 40 seconds remaining in the third period. Selenin at center ice.
Jim, maybe I'm wrong. Let's let this play finish. Why, we can pick it up right now.
Notice how he sets you up with maybe I'm wrong, and he's never been wrong ever, Jim.
What I was going to say, Jakes.
Before you were rudely interrupted. Right?
Yeah, well, I'm used to that right now. But anyway, every time Calgary goes out in the National Hockey League, teams are pointing for the sky high for them, and they're the benchmark of the league right now, and it's been tough. Now they're finding out what it is to be a defending Stanley Cup champion. On the other side of the coin, I think the Soviet team, they've been a little more intimidated by the Calgary Flames, and the National Hockey League say, hey, we're going to run at you tonight. Am I right or wrong on that?
That's definitely a concern. The physical aspect is something that you don't see as much of it in the Soviet Union, but I can tell you after playing in Prague and seeing